Hey, it's Shrimp. I'm here with my second episode of Talking Sense with Shrimp. It's March Madness, which means it's my favorite time of the year. So this episode is exclusively about March Madness. I have my little bracket here, and it's starting from the Sweet 16 because there was no way I could fit the whole bracket on this little board. And my mother threw away my big dry erase board, but I'm going to let her make it. We're going to start in the East region. If you can't read this, it says NC State. And I know what you're thinking. Villanova's the #1 seed in the East region. I know. And Villanova's going to get upset by NC State. NC State has been a giant killer. Nova's not exciting to watch. I don't know. I just don't think they're going to advance. I have Northern Iowa advancing. It is 11:46, and OU still sucks. I'm a Longhorn, so hook 'em. That explains that all. Virginia's going to advance. They won the ACC outright, so I got to give them some respect. We're going to head to the South region. We have Duke. This is probably the best Duke team I've seen in a long, long time. They're going to advance easily. Georgetown, probably one of the worst Georgetown teams we've seen in a while, but they're good enough to advance. Iowa State. I went to the Iowa State game against my Longhorns, and let me tell you, they are loaded. Iowa State is dangerous, and Gonzaga, another boring team, but they're good enough to advance. We're going to head to the Midwest. Big Blue, Kentucky. You've seen Kentucky. We've all seen Kentucky. We know they're going to advance. West Virginia, that defense, that press. It's like something I've never seen. They're going to advance. Notre Dame. They beat Duke twice this year, so I got to give them some respect. They're going to advance. Kansas. Another iffy team. They don't really have a go-to like they have in recent years with Kansas. They don't have like a Wiggins or anything like that, but they're good enough to advance. Wisconsin, another boring team, but I got to respect them. They're going to advance. We have North Carolina. Now, if Marcus Page does not show up, and he goes ghost like he did on that first Duke-North Carolina matchup, this will be really, really wrong. And I have no problem saying that. He has to show up. It's his senior year, his last campaign before he declares for the draft. So I'm hoping he's going to go hard, because if not, they'll definitely be going home. Baylor, I guess for the sake of the Big 12, they're pretty good too. They're going to advance. And then Arizona, they have a lot of people that came back from last year, so they should have some tournament experience. So I think they're going to advance. We're going to head back to the Elite 8, and we're going to the East. NC State, Virginia. Now, again, I haven't watched Northern Iowa, so that's why I'm going with NC State. And I know they're giant killers in the ACC, but they have been in the past. So I'm going to go with them. And Virginia, again, I mentioned they won the ACC outright, so I have to give them the upper hand over OU. Duke, Georgetown. Now, in recent years, I would have definitely picked Georgetown over Duke just because Duke, has underperformed in the tournament. But this year I'm going to go with Duke because, like I mentioned, they're probably one of the best Duke teams I've seen in the last decade. Iowa State, they have some shooters. I mean, Niang is like, almost 7 feet tall, and he's posted at the 3-point line. So I think they have the pedigree to beat Gonzaga. Over here back in the Midwest, you know how Kentucky is. They're going to advance over West Virginia. I don't think even West Virginia defense is going to be enough to contain Kentucky with their two plateaus, the A team, B team, C team, D team, Z team. Kentucky's loaded. Kansas, Notre Dame. I'm going to go with Kansas over that one. That one can go either way. If Kansas doesn't show up, Notre Dame will win, but I'm going to pull for Kansas on that one. UNC, Wisconsin. Now, this pick is based on, again, if Marcus Page shows up. I think they have enough weapons with Marcus Page, Bryce Johnson, Big Meeks. Big Meeks has got to show up because Wisconsin's big. But I have them over Wisconsin. Baylor, Arizona. I'm going to go with Arizona. Baylor I don't think going to have enough tournament experience. They always seem to fall short in the tournament, so I'm going to go with Arizona. Plus, Arizona's been there, done that. Out of NC State and Virginia, back to the East. I have Virginia. Now, I know I picked NC State, but again, NC State is a giant killer only because they're not expected to perform that way. And I think once they get that far in the tournament, the pressure is going to get to them because I don't think they've been that far that often. So I'm going to go with Virginia. And again, Virginia won the ACC outright. And they have a lot of seniors, so I think they'll be good. Duke, Iowa State. Now, y'all see this Iowa State pick over here. And I know y'all love Coach K, but let me give y'all some facts. In the last 3 years, Duke has lost twice in the first round. And within the last decade, they've only advanced beyond the regional semifinals 3 times. That's some facts for you. And I know you love Coach K, and I know he's easy to love, but that's why I got Iowa State beating them because I don't know if Duke is used to making it beyond this point that much within the last decade. Over here, back in the Midwest, Kentucky over Kansas, that's going to be a packed environment. That's going to be a game you want to go to. But I just think Kentucky, I just don't think anybody's touching them this year, because even if their starters aren't playing up to potential, he has 5 more he can bring from the benches, could be just as good, if not better. UNC Arizona. Now, I just really hope UNC doesn't make a fool out of me this year, because, again, the moment Marcus Page goes ghost, this team goes ghost. But I got them beating Arizona. So that leaves us with Virginia and Iowa State, and Kentucky and UNC. Now I have Virginia beating Iowa State because, I don't know, I just think the ACC title outright, that's giving Virginia the upper hand to me. I mean, that has to be respected. Duke, Louisville, the ACC is loaded. And for Virginia to win the ACC outright, I think that says something. So over here, Kentucky and UNC, I have Kentucky beat North Carolina because, again, even if Marcus Page shows up, I don't think he can do it that long to where they'll beat Kentucky. And you've seen Kentucky, like, Kentucky's loaded, like I've said a million times. So that brings us to Kentucky and Virginia in the title game. Now, again, I know Kentucky has won a lot of their games in the SEC relatively closely, but I think that's because Kentucky plays down to the competition. I think once the time comes where they have to elevate their game, and which they will against Virginia, I think they will, which means they're going to win it outright. And it's really funny because Duke is probably the only team that could have actually beat Kentucky, but Duke has a tougher path to get there, which means Kentucky really gets away with another one. Plus, they didn't cut the nets in their SEC championship game because they obviously were saying that they wanted to cut the nets for all the marbles in the big title game. So I think the mission is much bigger for them, and they have their eyes on the prize. Plus, with Will Cauley-Stein, he was there. Remember when that Kentucky team sucked, when they didn't even make the tournament? They were in the NIT. So I think he remembers that. He remembers that taste in his mouth, and I think they're going to cut down the nets. And normally I would go with an underdog, but this year I just don't see how it's going to happen. I got Kentucky winning it all, #1 overall seed, and I think they're going to show us why in the tournament. That wraps up our March Madness edition of Talking Sense with Shrimp. Give me feedback, any feedback, I'm all ears. Thanks. Bye.